solve linear equations with fraction or decimal. When you see an equation like this, where you have fractions in there, the first step is to clear the fraction. To do so, you need to find the LCD among all the fractions. Here, 2, 4, 2. The LCD here is 4. The least common denominator is 4. So if I multiply each term by 4, I quickly see I can eliminate all the fractions, and I get a linear equation. So this equation here and this equation here is identical. Of course, this is a lot easier to deal with. There's no fractions in there. So the first step is to multiply each term by LCD to eliminate the fraction. Once we get it to this point, we distribute and then solve for x with the method I showed you. Now, if you do have a decimal in your equation, the first step is to eliminate the decimal. You want to multiply each term by a factor of 10 to eliminate the decimal. So in this case, if I go ahead and multiply, distribute these numbers, I would see that to eliminate all the decimals, I need to move the decimal points 2 times here for these 2 terms. And I need to only move the decimal points 1 time for these 2 numbers. So if I want to move the decimals for all of them, I need to multiply them by 100. So if I multiply each term by 100, the first number becomes 120. The second number becomes 4. The next number becomes 150. And the next number becomes 3x. Again, this equation here and this equation are identical. Except this one is like a linear equation. No decimal in there, we can easily solve that. Then we can isolate the variable like I showed you and then solve for x. Solve a linear equation by clearing a fraction. So here we have an equation that involves fractions in there. This is a very typical problem that you see on the exam. I've seen this problem in the sample final. What we need to do is to multiply them by LCD. Well, LCD among 4, 3, and 2 is 12. If I multiply them by 12, I can eliminate all the fractions. 12 times 1/4 would be 3. So the first term becomes 3w. 12 times 1/3 would be 4. So the second term becomes 4w. Remember, we need to multiply each term by 12. -1 times 12 becomes -12. 12 times 1/2 w, that gives me 12 divided by 2 is 6, 6w. 12 times -2 gives me -24. Once again, this equation here and this equation here are identical. Same equation. One is a lot easier to solve for. So the step number 1 to clearing fraction is to multiply them by LCD, and then from here we can solve for x. The answer here would be -12. Solving a linear equation by clearing fraction. Here we have 5, 2, 10. What is the LCD among all these? 10. If I multiply each term by 10, quickly you can see I can eliminate all the fractions. 10 over 5 becomes 2. 10 over 2 becomes 5. Well, 10 times 2 becomes 20. 10 over 10 it will be 1. So this equation here, or this equation here, is identical to this one. It's a lot easier to deal with. So all I have to do is just distribute, isolate the variables, and solve for it. Solving a linear equation by clearing decimal. If you see a decimal in your equation, you multiply each term by a factor of 10. Here I have to multiply each term by 100. If I multiply each term by 100, the first term will become 55x. The second term becomes 60. Last term becomes 205x. So this equation here and this equation here are identical. This is a lot easier to deal with. For this one, I can isolate the variable x easily by subtracting minus 55x2 from both sides of the equation. And subtract 55x from both sides of the equation. I get 205 minus 55, I get 150x. Then I can divide both sides by 150, then I can solve for x.